First project is this antique table leg. I found it and I just fell in love with it. The chippiness and the crackle in the paint is fantastic. I found these hooks in the scrap metal bin and the color almost matched perfectly. I screwed them into that spindle, added some hooks on the back, and it's gorgeous. Hang it up in an entranceway for coats or a catch-all. I absolutely love it. Project number 2. I always like to cut up the spindles into little pieces. If they're broken and you can't use a full spindle, I never throw any of it out. I cut off the little bits that I can use, and I love turning them into ornaments. Got out my stash of paint, got some fun whimsical colors, painted those spindles, and then I drilled a little hole in the top of each one. I'm going to use these eyelet screws that I picked up on Amazon. I'll put a link down below in the description if you want to grab some for yourself. Going to use some twine and string it through those hooks, and I've turned these beautiful bits of spindles into really cute ornaments. This is a great idea to do for all of the holidays too. Here's a spindle DIY from a previous video. I took pieces of spindle and I screwed them between two round discs that I cut out, crackle painted them with some Elmer's glue. They make beautiful stands or perfect to put a candle on. And here's another project from a previous video. I cut out a whole bunch of wooden arrows, gave them some distressed paint, and then I layered up some old pieces of trim and some spindles and put them all together. This was a great project to use up all those little bits and pieces I've had laying around forever. Next project, I hate throwing out anything if it's still in good shape. The back of this chair was still in really good shape, so we're going to use that for this project, and we're going to use 7 spindles. We're going to turn all of this into a beautiful wind chime. I'm going to drill some small pilot holes. We're going to use those little hooks again like we used in our ornaments, and I'm going to screw 7 of them along the bottom of the back of that chair. And once we have them all screwed into the back, I'm going to screw them into the top of each one of those spindles. I'm going to drill a little pilot hole again and then screw those little hooks in. I got out a bunch of my acrylic paint and I'm going to turn it into my homemade stain. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link down below in the description and you can check it out. I just love the way that it just stains the wood a nice color. I'm going to use a different color on each spindle. I love the look of a stained wood, and this recipe works perfect for that. Plus, I like that you can just mix up a little small batch of it. It gets really expensive if you want to buy stain in all these different colors. I'm loving all these colors together so far, and now because this is going to be outside, I'm going to seal everything up with my engine enamel, and then I'm going to put some penetrating oil on the back of that chair. The engine enamel will seal up those spindles when they're out in the elements, and the penetrating oil will also seal that top piece of the chair. I think this is a beautiful way to upcycle an old broken chair. It's now transformed into a beautiful wind chime. I've got a whole bunch of random spindles in random colors, and I'm going to turn these into really fun vegetables. I've seen these on Pinterest before and I fell in love with them, and then when I had this whole stash of spindles, I knew I wanted to make some. The 2 spindles that were raw wood, I painted them orange. The other spindles, I just left them the way they were. I love the chippiness and the color of them. I screwed a hole in the top, and then I'm just going to add this faux greenery. When I'm in the thrift store, one of the first places that I always check for things is the artificial flowers or for greenery. I kind of collected along the way and it worked perfect for this project. I had a few different shades of greenery that complemented the colors perfect. So here's the before spindles, and this is what I turned them into, and aren't they darling? This is a perfect DIY to do for the Easter season, but I also love that you can do them in garden colors for the summer. This is such an easy spindle DIY you can put together in minutes. I have all these cut ends of spindles, and when I'm in the thrift store, I always look for wooden bowls. Always have a stash just for this purpose. Put a little bit of Gorilla Glue on the top of the spindle. I drilled a pilot hole through the wooden bowl, and then I'm going to screw it right into the bowl, into the spindle. You can always just glue these two together, but I'm always going to have something in this bowl and I want it to be really sturdy, so I decided to screw it. And I've just put a little faux plant in it. And how cute is this? I put this together in less than 5 minutes. Like I said before, I don't like to waste anything, so I saved the seat of this chair, and we're going to use 3 other spindles. The one spindle, we're going to utilize the holes that are already in the base of that chair. I've cut them into even lengths, put some glue on them, and I'm going to use those as pegs or hooks. Going to use the Vaseline method to create a chippy finish on this base of the chair. I'm adding the Vaseline wherever that chair would have naturally aged or the paint would have wore off. Going to add a couple coats of my homemade white chalk paint. I designed this graphic and I knew it would be perfect for this project. We're going to do our Mod Podge reverse graphic transfer method. I've printed these graphics off on my LaserJet printer, reversed the text, and we're going to put a light coat of Mod Podge all over it and let it sit for 24 hours. It's the next day, it's 24 hours. I'm dampening that paper until you can just start to see the graphics show through. We're going to rub all that paper off and we're going to be left with a beautiful graphic. I'm not going to paint these spindles. I love the chippiness and the color of them. I've drilled 2 pilot holes in it and I'm going to nail it into that chair. I'm going to put one on the top and one on the bottom. And I've turned the base of this chair and 3 spindles into a beautiful piece of farmhouse decor. Perfect spot to hang some keys at the front door, or you can put in the kitchen and hang some kitchen utensils from it. And I think this graphic was perfect for this project. And if you like this graphic, you can always grab it in my Etsy store. So I have a quick, easy tip and trick to paint spindles fast and get them ready for your projects. What you're going to need to do this is a pair of gloves and all those socks that don't have a match. All you do, this is so simple, put a sock onto your glove, and then take the paint that you want. I'm just going to use just acrylic paint from the dollar store. Pour it into your hand on that sock. Kind of squish it a little bit. And then look at that. Guys, it is so easy. And it gets in all the little nooks and crannies. See that? So simple. And you can just fill up that sock with more paint. And then just keep going around until you have all the coverage of the spindle. And if you want a darker color, you just let it dry and you go back on in and you do another coat. And then when you're done, just slip off that sock. And if you're going to put another coat on, just set it aside with the spindle and you can use it to put another coat on. And my spindles are all painted fast, quick, and easy, and they're ready for me to use on my projects. And if you want to put a top coat on, you can do the same process with your polyacrylic sealer. I really like to use the water-based satin and put some on a sock and rub it on. I hope you enjoyed today's spindle DIYs, and if you really enjoyed it, I'm sure you'll like either of these 2 videos also. And if you like DIY content, I'd love for you to follow along and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video.